Hi, I'm Micah Brady, real estate broker here in the Santa Ynez Valley. I love calling the Santa Ynez Valley my home. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to visit some amazing properties and meet some amazing people, and I'd like for you to meet them all. So welcome to our Meet the Valley series. Hi, I'm Micah, real estate broker here in the Santa Ynez Valley.
Aloha, Mikael Sigouin, winemaker, Kaena, here in the Santa Ynez Valley.
We're here today at your amazing winery. We were talking just a little bit ago. We've known one another a really long time.
Yeah, since our daughters were in kindergarten together.
Yeah. Which maybe is a good thing because it's a testament that we're still here being successful in our careers.
Yes, exactly, and that we do love the valley, so that's a good part. So.
Talk to me a little bit about that. You have a pretty incredible story at how you got started in the business, and you've really been very, very successful in your career over that time. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I think the crazy thing, Kaena is my given Hawaiian name. Born and raised in Honolulu. My mom had me young at 17, and her grandmother said, "Don't worry, have your boy, me and your mom will take care of your son." And I grew up in a 4-generational house that my great-grandfather built back in the 1940s in a little valley called Kulia'o, which is on the east side of Honolulu. And really, I think the most amazing thing was growing up in Hawaii. We didn't have a lot of money, we were poor, but we had a really great upbringing from my great-grandma, my grandma. My tutu was half Hawaiian, and grew up in Papalea, the Hawaiian homesteads, and beautiful woman that had one part of her in their Catholicism and her faith, and the other part was her Hawaiian heritage that she really bestowed on me. And from the time I was a little toddler, I was on her pant leg in the kitchen with her, watching her cook, and she would teach me about food and my Hawaiian heritage and things from the Bible, and she gave me a really good basis for faith. And in 1989. My great-grandmother passed away, and she was the matriarch of the family, and really, when she passed, my life went in all these different directions, and but she was up there guiding me. So, you ever seen the movie Moana? That was my relationship with my tutu. And so, got my first job in the fine dining industry as a busser.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii, yeah. So that's really where my love of wine kind of started to grow, and definitely food. And I have this crazy story where everything kind of fell into place. It was a path of faith that my great-grandmother kind of laid out for me. Sure. I made my way to California on a fateful trip back in April of '96. And I grew up working at, one of my jobs was working at California Pizza Kitchen back in the early 90s, and you had...
Do they still have California pizza kitchens?
Oh yeah, no, they're all over the place. So they're not owned by the original owners, but yeah.
It was fine dining back then.
Yeah, it was fine dining. I know, like everything was made from the ground up, and you had like 2 weeks of server training, to classroom training. You had to learn every single ingredient. You tasted everything, and they had a 3 days that was about learning about wine. And you're pairing with the food, you learn the Chianti classifications and these things, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's all about wine and food. And went to go visit a friend that I worked with in Waikiki back in the day. She lived in Benicia, California, up in Northern California. Went all over California, and I went down to Santa Barbara to look up this old friend that I worked with at my first fine job in '92, who talked me going to the military, and instead getting going to college. And Santa Barbara was just gorgeous. Went up to Napa and Oakville Grocery, amazing charcuterie from around the world. That I went to Turnbull. I can tell you every single wine I had. Got turned on to my Cabernet Franc, which was my first love of red wine. And then I went across the street to Newbaum Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola had just bought Engeldeck, who happened to be there, but Francis Ford Coppola, talking about what he was doing, his Tucker car there, Ezio Pinot Zin, Steak Cab Franc, 5-year vertical Rubicon. Anyway, blew my mind. And so I had never seen anything. Poor kid growing up in Hawaii, just the beauty and the fine dining and the wines, and I was up on top of this knoll, which you can't even get up to anymore over there, with my gourmet lunch, the Cabernet Franc in my glass, and the vines right there, and literally the sky's open, my tutus shine down. It's like, this is your path.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I went to the CPK in Wally Creek, and they needed help, and I transferred over, and I landed October 4th, 1996, so the day, and just being in proximity to Napa and Sonoma, it just it was like a snowball rolling downhill. Wine became insatiable for me.
Sure.
And I would faithfully meet the girl that talked me out of going in the military that I worked at in '92, kind of the one that got away, Sally. And I went on was at the Fillmore, St. Patty's, 1997, and rocked smack dab into her at the end of the concert.
It was destiny.
Yeah, totally destiny. So I have all these I've had all these reoccurring dreams as a kid, and my given name Kaena from my great grandmother, or 5 great grandsons, we all got names based on our traits as we grew into ourselves. And my full name was Kaena. Tutu said meant potential for greatness and potential to do great things. And then Kaena, she called me in short, it means proud. And I think she saw something in me that nobody else saw, and kind of just was able to lay out that path, and I followed it. And so living with Sally in the San Francisco area, I ended up getting a job selling water for Calistoga and Nestle and Perrier, and I was at a point where I loved wine, and if you grew up in Hawaii, you got the best water coming out of your tap. You're basically drinking, better than Fiji out of there. And so I literally got to the point where I could blind taste waters, tell you it was Crystal Geyser or this and that.
I didn't know this was great. I didn't know about this trait about you.
Yeah, no, it's and I always like my nose has been really acute, and I think that added to my love of wine, because now, and so it basically got to the point where I couldn't afford the wine clubs that I were in and the wine I was drinking, drinking $30 and up. And I was kind of fed up with San Francisco, and on a fateful trip, we came down to see Sally's mom down in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And
so what time of year was that?
That was in the summer of '99.
Yeah, wow.
And at that point, I was reading encyclopedias from front to back, and on wine, and had all my subscriptions. I was just, I really dreamed of, oh my God, how romantic would it be to go to France and do an internship and work a harvest. So we came down. Sue, God bless you, love you. Her little Southern Baptist mom said, "You know what? I know you love wine. I want to take you to our wine country. We have a great wine country back here." She didn't drink. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's my favorite thing in the world to do. So she's driving Sally and I up. And as I said, I had all these visions and dreams as a kid. And one of them was of this mountainous lake, which I thought were the Koalas where I grew up.
Sure.
And it was just, I would constantly have it. And but I've never seen that actual lake until I came up over the San Marcos Pass. And I saw Lake Cachuma, and it was kind of like parts of the Caribbean when the Kraken. That's what I like. Oh my God, that's my dream.
Yeah.
So we went to visit a couple of wineries. Went to the Brado, whatever, and they asked if they needed help in the taste. How you get in the wine business? And they're like, oh, we can use it in the taste room. And I was like, not quite the right fit. Went to Rick Longoria's place. Love the wines. Blew me away. And then went down the street to Beckman Vineyards. Loved all the wines. I thought they were really well made. They had a Syrah, some Cabernet Franc, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. And the tasting manager said, you know what? Our winemaker needs help for harvest. Like, here's Steve Beckman's card. I'm like, oh my God, this would be amazing.
Tutu's really working her magic.
Oh yeah, she's working her magic. A little bit of rosé here.
Yeah, so we're drinking your Grenache Rosé, one of your flagship wines here.
Perfect for the reckless. But I got Steve's card. I went back up to San Francisco and I called them up. And I'm like, I said, well, I'd kind of like to meet you. I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Called him sick to work at Calistoga. drove down, got overdressed.
You were up in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I was in the Bay. So I literally like woke up early in the morning and drove down and went to the Fest Parker Inn in their bathroom and got overdressed for my interview. I was in my slacks and my button-down shirt.
You didn't get the memo that winemakers or those that are working in the cellar don't wear suits, but
yeah,
which is another great benefit of working in.
Oh, it's awesome! I know. I'm actually in pants today because it's dark.
Shocking!
Cold out.
I've never seen you in pants.
It must be cold out because
it was cold.
Yeah,
it is cold.
Yeah, because I don't wear pants too often. I'm growing up in shorts. And my interview basically was Steve Beckman was the head winemaker, and then Joey Tinsley was the assistant back in the day. Wow. And my interview went like this: like, okay, you're afraid of heights? Got to get up on tanks and this and that, climb barrels. I'm like, Father was a roofer. I grew up on a roof, no problem. All right, well, what about bees? You allergic to bees? I'm like, no. And they kind of sized me up, and they're like, well, you look like you're big enough to do the heavy lifting and work. I'm like, you're hired. We'll call you when we need you. And
what time of year was that? I'm sorry.
I had come down. That was probably, I did my interview probably right after I'd come down. So probably
summertime.
Yeah, summertime. Still like August, I think I came down. And I got the call, and he said, so I told Sally, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this opportunity, so we'll kind of work things out. And
although I think she probably would have been okay at the time having to move back to Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Or to our region.
I ended up doing that anyway. And I started my first day. It was exactly 3 years to the day I landed from San Francisco.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I think I was in the right spot at the right time and worked my butt off and became assistant winemaker within 2 years. And so worked in the vineyards and the winery and the tasting room and the assistant winemaker in 2001, and that's when I started Kaena. That was
in its infancy, so you were just building that very, very early on, kind of on the.
It was on the
side, approved, but on the side. So.
Yeah. Well, I was never really allowed to make my wines on site, so I would make my wines still like I get done with my 12-hour day at Beckman, and then go put in another, 4 hours at the old Con Winery out in Buellton. I literally started my work day at 6:30 and ended at like 2:30 in the morning, and just do it all over again. But that's where you learn the passion, and that's the most beautiful thing about wine. It's all about the passion.
You talk about a little bit about your this label Kaena is it's very unique to you, driven by the love of the type of wines that you like to drink and make. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Was really fortunate when I started at Beckman in '99. They had bought Priestman Mountain. It was the first year that the fruit came online, and so the vines were 3 years old. And literally, it was like ground zero for some of the best grown fruit in the world, especially Grenache and Syrah. We worked with Grenache Blanc, we had Marsanne, we had Roussanne. And I got to work with Cabernet Franc my first year, which was my first love. And then I fell in love with Grenache, and it had everything that Cabernet Franc had, but it was really suited to our area, probably much more so than Cabernet Franc actually. And I just fell in love with this grape aromatically. What a true labor of love the vine is, because it's really, in my opinion, one of the hardest grapes to farm, one of the hardest grapes to make. And we were just doing some amazing things at Beckman, and Steve started with the biodynamics, and so I was really in a really great learning spot. So I would, and that's the most beautiful thing, was just on the job training. So I like to say I went to the school of hard knocks, and Beckman. I left Beckman in 2005, and 2005 and 06, I got invited.
It was 2005.
Yeah, to go to Fest Parker. And so got the opportunity to make wine on site, and went from a 15,000 case winery to a 150,000 case winery.
Significant.
And it was quite the learning curve. I was the only one without a degree. Blair Fox was the head winemaker. I filled his position as associate. Our enologist at the time was Larry Schaefer. A lot of
you know, a lot of the cats that you've associated with over the years, you know, we've been friends for so long, and when I started in real estate 27 years ago, we were all the young kids. Now I don't know if we're the young kids.
We're definitely the middle-aged ones.
You know, but like Richard Longoria and was like the.
Oh, he was the
man. He was the man. I mean, he's still the man.
Oh yeah, he's since retired. One of my great honors was him asking me to be his assistant winemaker. Wow. And then he offered me what he was going to pay me. I'm like, sorry, I can't be your assistant winemaker for that much. So being at Fest Parker,
they're paying a little bit more.
Yeah, they're paying a little bit more. That's why I moved on, and they had every barrel. You could work with every grape, every yeast. So I got to make Pinot Noir. It was a really great team, and we really were able to take this. But it was basically like doing a 180 on an aircraft carrier, because they were going the way of the old Frass Canyon and Riesling and all things, and so we were able to really focus in on all to take that top 5% of the greatest grapes in the valley, and we can make just some amazing things. And working with them, Steve Beckman came back and invited me back to Beckman as head winemaker and winemaking privileges, and I was at a point where I really missed the hands-on part of it. So I'm a kind of a control freak, and at Fest Park I really didn't touch. I just read a lot of work orders, and it all kind of came back in. So I returned to Beckman in 2007 as the head winemaker, and just happy as can be to really take it to the next level, and brought a lot of the technologies that I worked with at Fest Parker, and just for 7 years was there again, and then in 2014 I went out on my own. We opened our first tasting room in Los Olivos in 2011. Yeah, and
I was thinking about this.
I know, because you helped me with the whole deal.
I helped you move into it, but where when you did that and opened that tasting room in Los Olivos, that part of Los Olivos was uncharted waters. No one was pouring wine over in this sort of off the main drag, like 2 blocks off the main drag in some corner. Yeah. And you parlayed that. It was successful there. You parlayed that into your corner spot.
Sally, my wife, was scared to death. Like, oh my God, what the hell are we doing? I'm like, and I was always a very big part of, like, back to first, but I had my own label, and my own label was for me and for making wines for Hawaii, for the foods I grew up with, so my own style and my own name, and so it's like build it and they will come. All of a sudden, we got our wine club started. We did really, really well, and we got really successful. And then I think 2 years of being over on that backside, we parlayed that into the corner spot in Los Olivos. So we're here at the ranch location, which is a whole new journey, but
you keep pushing yourself to, like,
it's funny, it's like all learning to surf on the smaller waves, and you start getting up to the bigger waves. And I have a very big surf history in my family, and then so I think it was that having that corner spot in Los Olivos, it was time to kind of really focus my own brand. So I left Beckman. My brand has since grown from 2,000 cases to about 6,000.
Amazing.
So yeah, we went off in a little cooperative that Michael Larner started. Now I control the whole thing. And yeah, the brand's
You're the boss man there.
Sorry?
You're the boss man.
Yeah. So I am the landlord. So
nice. I
dropped the hammer when need be. I could slowly kick everybody out. I have like 2 more tenants, and that's it.
It was all those years of punch downs that gave you this massive physique.
Yeah, well, it's back in the day. I know. We're gonna get back to that. That was actually my first day on the job at Beckman. I'd never forget how physical it was. I would literally run from spot to spot because I could get a killer workout. Like, well, if I sprint over here, I'm getting a workout here, and then so I was literally running circles around everybody, and they're like, "Oh my God, we've never seen anybody work like this." And And that year I made my first 2 buckets of wine. And, so it's just exponentially grown every year. And I think it was my great grandmother putting it up there for me, like, oh, you can do it. And really it's in honor to honor Hawaii and my heritage, but really make the best damn wine I can.
But that's part of being here in the Santa Ynez Valley. I mean, you guys have made your home here.
Yeah, I think.
Talk to me about. I mean, as much as I love Santa Ynez, and I try to communicate that to all the people that I'm working with in my line of business. I mean, tell me your thoughts on.
I got chicken skin for that, because that is a special place. And living up in the Bay Area side, I were living. There's no aloha. You know, that community feeling of community and giving. And so we came down to Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara is like Malka and Makai. So you got the Malka, the mountains, and then the oceans in front of you. And I think there's this really big synergy between Hawaii and Santa Barbara, and it's just drop dead gorgeous. And then having the valley, this really reminds me of the smaller town that I grew up in Hawaii, where everybody looked out for one another. You know, you'd have Officer Rosa, you're like, hey, Mike, eat it, like, go home already. Like, so everybody was really looked out for one another. I think that's what's so amazing about this valley. And we bought, our little fixer-upper in Ballard, right across the creek, because we want our kids to go to the best Ballard school. And you can only get in there if you bought in the district. We could have got a much bigger house in Solvang, but it was really, the focus was on the kids. And you'll never forget that first day through the little steepled red schoolhouse. Has been in use since the 1800s. And that really set kind of the bar for our kids' education. If you live in Hawaii, you'd have to send your kid to $60,000 private school a year just to get that kind of education. And the tightness and the families that
we're
great
still friends after all these years.
Oh yeah.
First meeting I guess it's a little less than that. 15 years ago.
Yeah, 15 years ago. And we still have all those great relationships from the Ballard School, and that translates into the high school. And really, we all look out for one another. And our kids, I'm proud to say my daughter got to be valedictorian.
She did an amazing job.
Yeah,
well deserved.
Thank you. And it's just been this really amazing journey to put the roots down here, and people, don't have that disrespect. There's a little of the LA crowd coming in, but you just got to teach them, like, hey, this is our town.
So what would you tell someone that was looking to move here? If you had to tell them 2 things about what it's like to live in the valley, and what would you tell them about moving here?
First, I tell them, number one is respect. Respect the fact that, I didn't grow up here, but Hawaiians, that's what our law is. It is that respect for the people that came before, and to respect your community. And
so don't try to change it.
Don't try to change it, exactly. A little bit of change, but on a slow amount. So yeah, I think don't try to change it, and just relax, because it's really, getting off the plane after being in Honolulu, it's actually a little more relaxed because there's no traffic.
I know, we're so fortunate when we go travel, and you come back and you feel so just relaxed.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Coming back here, and you're so grateful to come back here, because the vacation, going to amazing places, were already pretty stressful. You come back here to chill out.
I know, it's kind of crazy. That whole dread is gone. Like when I live in the Bay Area, and you come back there's always a decompression. And I think that's the beauty, is you should want to, if you are somebody coming in and moving in, you should want to add to everything and be part of the community. And it's not just here for the taking, it's you got to give back. And we're, I think, leveraging Kaena, help out with the boosters. We're able to, at the ranch here, the new spot, we're able to host a lot of events and really just kind of do whatever we can to give back.
How do you think the football team's going to be this next year? Our high school football.
I think it's going to be better than last year. I think it'll be
they were pretty good last year.
Yeah, not as good as the JV team. So the JV team went 9-1. I'm proud to say my son got scholar athlete.
That's amazing.
With a 4.77, he brought up the GPA for the whole team, and then he got defensive lineman as well. So,
well, he's been playing because you've been coaching him since.
Yeah,
he started in Pee Wees at how old? Probably 6
I think
or
he was
7?
like 8 years old. I'll never forget his first.
Football kind of runs in your blood. So.
Yeah, I do miss it. I played a little football in my day, but it's been great being part of the.
But that's part of, I think, people have asked me over the years as they're moving up here, what are some things that you can do? I regularly tell them, make sure you clear your Friday nights so that you can go to the high school football games, because it's like, and they say, why? I say, well, it's really like what you see in the movies with the whole town there supporting our local boys playing football.
Yeah, and that's
the community's there and everyone's super sports.
Much bigger than when I grew up in Hawaii, actually. Like, and the football program it's big stuff around here. It is Friday Night Lights, and they take really good care of their players. But just like watching you interact with people you've grown up with, like maybe have gone away but come back to raise their family here, because it's such an amazing place.
Well, you kind of, when you're growing up here, it's a case of you can't wait to get out of here soon enough because you think it's so small, and then you get away and you realize how really.
That's exactly what I did with. I did the same thing with Hawaii. Yeah,
so we're very fortunate that we can live here and been relatively successful in our careers and raise our families. So.
I know. I get to make wine for a living, and I'm like.
So what got you into wine? I mean, really, you were saying before we started. What's one main reason that you got into wine? It was you like to drink, right?
Yeah. Well, a funny story. My tutu passed away in '89. I was a junior year. Just got done with my junior year of high school football, team captain, and had the whole. This is my way out. They get to I probably would have got if I would have not screwed up the year for my senior. I would have had a D1, D2 scholarship probably, but. The matriarch passes away, and I kind of lost my edge, and instead didn't make grades for my senior year, but made a really good group of friends, and probably partied a little more than I needed to in my senior year, but graduated nonetheless.
We all do that.
Yeah, so. And it was, but it's kind of funny, and it's but that kind of led to a career in winemaking. This is one thing leads to another, and then once you get wine, it's a whole another world of history and creativity, and I think that was the biggest thing, was the creative process of it. And I basically make what I like to drink, so you'll have a lot of rosé.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'll pour a little more. And one of the biggest influences for me was getting my start back at Beckman. They sent me to an event called Hospice du Rhône. It's
still around, right?
Yeah, still around. It's every other year. They just had it last year, so we're going to skip this year. It's at the fairgrounds in Paso Robles in the end of April. And if you can imagine, going to this would be like going to Lollapalooza or Woodstock, or you're seeing
or
the
now
Chili
it's
Peppers.
it's the events.
They have Bottle Rock right now.
Well, or Bottle Rock, or what's the one they do in the desert every year in the Palm Springs?
Coachella.
Yeah, Coachella.
Yeah.
Coachella for wine.
Yeah, you're up there you just saw Pearl Jam. Basically, it equates to you have the greatest producers from around the world that make Rhone varietals. You see Michel Chaputier is one of the most amazing winemakers. So I might as well just saw the Stones, and then you go and have lunch, and I'm sitting next to Mick Jagger. Talking to him about his music.
That's amazing.
And you're like, I'm not worthy, but it's listen and trying to play. So you learn, and they tell you how they produce their things, the terroir. Is it on limestone? Is it on clay? Is it sand? And then you can we're really fortunate in this area. It's all ancient seabeds. We have the most amazing valley in all of California, in my opinion. Because we have 3 of the growing regions, 1, 2, and 3, from the west to the east.
And we have this sort of, if I'm remembering correctly, it's one of the few east-west valleys in the state of California that the mountain range run east to west, and that coastal influence from the ocean 15 miles
so we have that
westward.
air conditioner, which is the Pacific Ocean, bringing the fog at the lowest point, which is the Santa Ynez River, kind of snakes its way in every night, dropping the temperature down by almost about 40 to 30 to 40 degrees each night.
Yeah.
And so what that does is give us a much longer growing season than most other regions, and so we have longer hang time, really able to develop those flavors, and especially for Grenache, which is I can go on and on about that, but it's
We'll talk real quickly about Grenache, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are the Grenache king here. So
Thank you. And Grenache Rosé is probably one of the hardest ones there's a make. So Grenache is I've made probably 30 different varietals in my life, and by far it's the hardest, because Grenache is it's actually the most widely planted red varietal in the world because it's very drought tolerant. So it's really waxy leaves. It likes to be head trained because it doesn't like direct sunlight. So a lot of regions have tried to they grow it in these hot climates, but they use it as a bulk wine because it has a super very fertile grape. So it wants to produce 10 tons to the acre, but you'll never get the qualitative element. Just like somebody having too many kids, you're going to have a few oddballs in there. So and it doesn't like it too hot. It doesn't like it too cold. So out in Happy Canyon, it's not the spot. In Santa Rita Hills, a little too cool. You're waiting till like December for it to ripen. But right in that little Ballard area, so between the 101 and the 154, it's not too hot, not too cold, but just right. We have those sandy soils, we have limestone and clay, and so it starts. One of the things about Grenache is it's like Pinot Noir, it starts its bud break first around the same time. But unlike Pinot Noir, it's the last thing that gets picked because it's constantly waiting. So you're not picking until November, where Pinot Noir is getting picked at the end of October.
it's getting into your Thanksgiving dinner here.
Oh yeah, no, you're like, oh, come on, man, it's time, and then you have to worry about rains. So you want to go in and bonsai all the clusters down to about break it down from 10 tons to 3 tons the acre. Cut the wings off because you want to really just focus the vine. It doesn't like direct sunlight, so you have to kind of let the leaves flop over, do a lot of tunneling, so it has really good airflow. It's really prone to bunch rot, but like Pinot Noir, there's a lot of different clones, so you can kind of use smaller berry, bigger berry, and also like Pinot, it's very site specific.
Yeah, got it.
But at the back end, it's wants to be picked at a much higher sugar level because that's where the skin's finally thin out. So Grenache Noir, the red wine, generally has an alcohol around 15%, 14.5, 15, and that's where the tannins finally soften. I am very proud to have made my name on Grenache, and working at Beckman and what I've done for Kaena, it's kind of my peers have given me the name the Grenache King, and proud to have people like Rick Longoria and Brian Babcock come to me for advice on Grenache. I'm like, holy crap, like these are my
table. You've turned the tables.
Yeah, no, like these are my idols, and like now they're coming to me for advices. But it's just been this beautiful thing. And Grenache, the tannin management, he wants to be treated a lot like Pinot, but it's got immensely thick skins, so it's got really big tannin, and the tannin management on Grenache is the hardest thing. And but you do everything right. It likes to go through cycles. It constantly ferments. But I think being raised by my great-grandma and my grandmother in a matriarchal system, you put the feminine at the top as the respect. And you do everything right, and the payoff's the best in the world. So I really just head over heels for that grape, and it's about half of my production for what I do. So. Yeah, and then I dabble in I make 30 different wines, and I have a whole Bordeaux lineup. I love the Bordeaux's, but Grenache is my true love.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Man. It's a true pleasure to have you as a friend, and it's very inspiring to hear your story and really know your story very well. We've been friends for so long. Hard work pays off. And you are a testament to that, and a good person with a good heart. So those things will always carry you through. And
we got to spread the aloha every day, man, and raise each other up. And that's what's so great about this valley and this area. And I appreciate you having me. So,
and one last thing, we're here at U Space. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I am super proud every day. This it's been this incredible journey. You know, we talked about the tasting room in Los Olivos, which we opened in originally 11 and cut the corner in 13. Well, you know, 2020 hits, we got COVID around, and this amazing
that little thing called COVID?
Yeah, Armageddon. And during that time, an incredible opportunity came up. The Ranch Church locally had acquired this old property, the Shoestring Winery, and they were looking for a tenant to take over the winery portion. And through faith and goodwill and just coming together, we were the last people standing, and we took over the old Shoestring spot. For the future Kaena in June of 2021. So huge, my 20th anniversary for the brand, and now we have this beautiful 8,000 square foot barn that we put a lot of work into. And we have 55,000 square feet of outdoor space, and literally we can welcome people, we can do special events, and it's just a whole new experience. I got all the pictures of my family on the walls, and it's a work in progress, but it's just really just the next level for the brand, and we're just super excited to have 2 locations now. So you can find us, you can find us in town in Los Olivos, and then we have here at the ranch and off the Buellton Flats, and just a really great evolution, and we're having so much fun, and we welcome everybody here. And what's really been fun too is I have developed a new Bordeaux line, the Kaena Noir, and so you can come here, taste it. We got food. We got
regularly. You have weekend events.
Yeah, so pretty much every Saturday we have
everybody
food.
To your Instagram handle.
Yeah, we're always trying to mix it up and do something fun. So we have food trucks usually on Saturdays, and we're open for private events, and just been really the next level. And like I said, hosting.
Well, you've continued here, coming into this space on the flats. It's another trendsetter spot for you, because coming into the flats at the time, no one was out here having their facility and tasting in this particular location. So good on you. You continue to push the needle in that regard.
Totally. And it's just they constantly trying to live up to my Hawaiian name and make my family proud, and really tell the story and spread the aloha. And you can come here, and we're open daily. You don't need a reservation. We just have just incredible. It's all about really the aloha, and just and bring that piece of Hawaii to you here, and enjoying the wines.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.